Welcome to A Well Cared For Human, the podcast that tries to convince you that you are 100% normal and an even better than okay example of the human species, despite the fact that sometimes we feel like the craziest, most incapable, or worthless creatures on the face of this planet. I'm Kory, an author, a creative, and the host of the show. Whatever you're bringing to the table today, I hope this episode proves to be a dose of inspiration for you on your quest to become a well-cared-for human. You can find the episode show notes, your free wellness blueprint, and more at awellcaredforhuman.com. And as always, thank you for listening. Hello humans, it's your host Kory, and today we're going to talk about starting over. It's a new year, new you. I'm sure you're getting all the messages right now about starting your year off right. I know that many of us use this time of year to make plans for the year ahead, or at the very least, we beg the universe, the fates, Lady Luck, God, whoever we can, to please do not give us another year like the year we had before. And so, instead of offering you another episode on resolutions, which is what I did last year, you can go and listen to my suggestions on how to make loving, affirming resolutions rather than the kind of resolutions that are very much self-punishment in some kind of way or another. I think I released it either in December or January on how to make resolutions, but this episode is more of the open-ended theme of starting over because, again, new year, new you. And there are many times in our lives when we have to start over, not just in the beginning of a year, but also it can be any kind of big physical life change. Throughout the course of our lives, I feel like very different versions of ourselves continue to emerge and disintegrate again and again and again. So for example, if you get a new career or you get a new home situation, maybe you get engaged or married or divorced or your partner dies or you guys have a baby, changing roles of who you are to yourself or the people around you. Maybe you move to another town, another city, another state, another country. Maybe you get sick and you have to learn how to live differently, or maybe you survive an illness and you get a new lease on life and now you're navigating new circumstances. Or maybe you just decide for yourself, hey, I've had enough of the way I lived before and I'm going to make some much needed changes. The examples are endless and they're going to be different for everybody, so just take whatever resonates with you. But whatever the case, the fact remains that we all have to start over from time to time. We all have to begin again. And I am no exception to this rule, so there are many instances where I've had to begin again and again and again and again. One of the more benign examples I can think of is when my mother kind of had a very severe mental breakdown. I was in the junior year of high school, and she kind of went full-blown manic and didn't come down for quite a while. And so she got us thrown out of the place that we were in. She was doing drugs and alcohol pretty heavily. She was bringing strange men to the trailer where we were living, and I didn't feel safe staying there anymore. And so I started actually living with my friend that I went to school with. I just kind of was like unofficially moved into her house. And her parents didn't say anything. They were like, okay, we just got two girls sleeping upstairs now. And so I would stay with them and I would go to work and school and I would come back because I also had a job. That's how I was able to pay for things. And so I had a job. I was working at Burger King. So when I wasn't working or going to school, I was dealing with that. And obviously I couldn't continue that way forever. And so when my junior year ended, my dad came and picked me up and I had to move to a different state. He lived in a different part of the country. And so I moved there and did my senior year there. And so now I had no friends, no job, or no like real income, so to speak. I eventually convinced my dad to let me get a job so I could have my own money a few months into the senior year, but couldn't tell anyone anything about me. I trying to hide the fact that I was a gay because it had not gone over so well in the past. And this place was like a small conservative town as well. And so I was like, nope, did this before. I'm not going to do it again. And so I did not come out to anyone in my senior year, except for this one girl who I started hooking up with, but that's a different thing. Another example is moving from where I was living in Kalamazoo, where I went to graduate school, to East Lansing. When I met Kim, we dated for probably 9 months, long distance. So we lived about an hour and a half apart from each other. And so I would drive to her apartment some weekends. She would drive to mine the other weekends. And so we were going back and forth for a while. And eventually I just accepted a teaching position in her city. And so I moved, and then I started working on my writing career and stuff. And so that felt like another big shift where I was kind of starting over. I was in another place. But it doesn't always have to be a physical move. It can be a spiritual or emotional move. So, for example, my processing of my mother's death definitely felt like a big move emotionally, spiritually. I had to go through a lot of kind of family history, work through that. Same is true when I made the emotional shift in my dating life back in my early 20s when I had that really destructive pattern that I've talked about a little bit. And I had to essentially take a several year long vow of celibacy to get myself together. I was like, Kory, you clearly cannot date anyone in your right mind, so get some help, and then you can look at dating somebody. And so these all felt like shifts where I had to begin again. Some of it coincided with physical, actual moves in my life, which felt like starting again, but some of them were also just emotional or spiritual beginnings again. One was also a career, so when I moved from teaching to full-time author, that felt like I was starting over because I was kind of have to figure out how to structure my day, what was important to me now, how was I going to spend my time, so that also felt like a starting over. It's going to be different for everybody. You'll know if you're starting over. I don't need to tell you what that's looking like. You'll know if you're starting from square one. It'll very much feel like that. But there's a lot you can do in these moments when we have to start over. So I want to give you some tips for making the most of these moments, because there's two ways to approach starting over. We can be really sad and heartbroken and feel like we're mourning the life that we used to have. And that could be true if you're moving from something that was maybe good, but then it ended. Or even, let's be honest, it was terrible, but you're still scared to do something else, to try something new. So whether you're dealing with heartbreak or fear, you might find it difficult to let go of the past and move on. And so if you're starting over, but you don't really want to, that's some feeling management right there, things that you're going to have to work through. But you could also start over and be like, I can do anything. Because a new beginning usually means that you can change anything that you don't like. You can ditch it. You can start over. You can totally rework who you are, where you are, what you're doing. And this part usually feels incredible if we come at it from that perspective. Cue the song, I forget who sings it. Is it the Dixie Chicks? I won't sing to you because I don't want to hurt anyone's ears, but yeah, cue Wide Open Spaces, Room to Make a Big Mistake, and that's the energy that you can bring to it of this adventurous mindset. You can start over with an adventurous mindset or with a heartbroken mindset. And so I want to give you some tips on how to make the most of that. First of all, I would encourage you to take stock of your current situation. So what are you moving from and what are you moving toward? This would be the perfect time to do that because you're kind of in this gateway, right? Between the two versions of yourself, the two versions of your life. And so identify what aspects of your life that you want to change. Reflect on what has or has not worked for you in the past, what you want to keep, what you want to get rid of, whether you are literally or metaphorically moving. Look at that box of stuff and think about what you want to keep, what you want to throw out. I would encourage you to only take the things that are really precious to you, that you're really excited about keeping. I would take that stuff forward and just throw the rest out. This would also be a really great time to get clear on your goals. So usually when we step into a new life, a new version of ourselves, we have this opportunity to make anything happen. We could do anything. And so what is it that you want? Like, get clear on what it is you want. Do you want a new love life? Do you want a new career? Do you want a new community? A new group of people that you feel connected? Do you want a new friends group? You want a new daily habit, a new routine? What do you want? Like, you can have anything that you want. So what is it? Because right now you're starting over. You have nothing holding you down. There's nothing that's pinning you in place. So you're totally open. You can do anything. So what is it that you'd like to do? Get clear on what those are so that you can start thinking about the action steps, the plan, how you're going to get there, what steps forward you can take, what resources you might need, or what support you might need to go forward. Starting over is an excellent time to start dreaming and dreaming big and thinking about all the amazing things you could accomplish or that you could do or experience and enjoy. So don't hold yourself back. Really just think big. What do you want? What would you love to do before you're dead? I make it so dramatic. But yeah, what do you want to do before you die? This is the time to figure that out. Also, kind of what I was touching on before about the two ways to look at it. try to let go of the past as much as possible. If you don't hold on to who you were or what was happening or whatever, you're more likely to have this fresh start, for it to feel more like a fresh start. If you aren't clinging to things, then it allows for that new, exciting stuff to come into your life more easily. It'll help you to let go of the past if you acknowledge and release any regrets or mistakes you have. So usually some of the things that ruin that fresh new start, that fresh new beginning for us, because we're thinking about maybe how we messed up in the past, or, oh God, I wish I hadn't gone that way, or so on or so forth. And so again, that's going to be different for everybody. I don't know what happened or what you might be viewing negatively, but as much as you can, try to acknowledge that, release it, let it go. It is what it is. Can't change it now. Moving on. Just because that happened in the past does not mean it's going to happen again. So just let it lie. Learn from your experiences. Take the wisdom and the knowledge that you had from those experiences with you into the future. But you don't have to take anything else. You can leave everything else in the past. There's no point in dwelling on stuff that you can't change. So forget about it. You've got a new life now. You've got a new beginning. Just run right into it with open arms. Open arms, because it can be really hard to embrace change. Most of us, in fact, don't like it at all. I would like you to go back and listen to my episode on growth also, if you haven't listened to that yet. Growth, I think, was the one I released right before the Christmas break. And so it's very much about how we struggle with change, how it doesn't feel comfortable. And when you're starting over, a lot of that applies because you're coming into a new situation, you're growing into a new person, you're starting fresh, and so it might be of value to you to listen to that episode on growth. But recognize that starting over usually involves a lot of change, and the best way to handle change is to be open to it, to relax into it, to see it in a positive light. Again, that anything is possible. This is an amazing time to realize those goals and dreams that you have. This is a great opportunity for you to grow in any capacity that you want, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in your connections and relationships with other people, new experiences, whatever it is. Just wide open arms. Be like, this is going to be amazing. I can't wait for this to happen. I'm so excited for this new opportunity, these new changes for me. I'm here to win it. Let's do this. Having that attitude is going to make this so much easier to tolerate, when otherwise it would be kind of uncomfortable because there's a lot of new stuff going on. You might also need to update your skills in some kind of way. Again, this is connected to that growth mindset. If you want to be a different person than you used to be, or you want to thrive in a different environment that you used to have to survive in, you might need skills that you hadn't used before, or you might need techniques or a way of being that you haven't considered before. And just invest in that. Just be like, I can absolutely do this. Yeah, I've got to upskill a little bit, but who cares? I'm going to totally figure this out and I'm going to be great at it. And so what if I'm a little bit uncomfortable while I'm doing it? Easy peasy. And so just look at it as a chance to grow into the person that you want to be, or grow into this new life that you've always wanted. Now you have the opportunity to do it. You can grow into anything. I also encourage you to really pay attention to self-care, because self-care is so important during transitional times. A lot of things are up in the air when we start. The amazing thing about having a new beginning is that anything is possible. But that also means that a lot of things are just kind of unfixed. So they're just hanging there. You don't know necessarily how things are going to play out. And for that reason, that unmoored, ungrounded aspect, it's easy for us to get lost in our heads. We start kind of catastrophizing. We fear the worst is going to happen. Like, oh my God, how's this going to work out? What's going to happen to me? And so we want to be sure to keep ourselves grounded in the present moment. Don't let our anxieties take control. Don't let our fears run amok. And we can do that by prioritizing our mental well-being, our physical well-being during the transitional periods. Make sure you're exercising, make sure you're eating well, make sure you're getting enough sleep so that you can navigate this time with as much ease as possible, like you're at full strength, full power, in a time where maybe you're feeling a little bit vulnerable or overexcited. If you have a support system, family or friends or mentors, lean on them. Be like, hey, I'm starting over. A lot of things are new for me. Help me out. Please help me out. I need some help. Most importantly, though, probably be patient and persistent, because it's really hard to start over when we don't know how things are going to work out. We have to figure a lot of things out. A lot of things are in flux. So be persistent, keep making those changes, keep stepping forward, keep heading along the path toward that thing that you want, whether it's a new life, a new relationship, a new career, whatever it is. And just be patient with yourself along the way, because you're figuring a lot of things out. Think about a baby. When a baby is newborn, I'm sure you guys know this, but just bear with me. It's metaphor time. A baby is born and the baby's got to learn to talk and to walk and to eat. And it's super clumsy and it's making all these messes in the beginning. But eventually, then it's running around the house and terrorizing everyone and ripping everything off the shelves, and it's fine. So basically, I'm just touching on this idea that it takes a period of adjustment. And so just because things might be a little off in the beginning or a little rough, it does not mean that you're not doing great. It does not mean you're not on the right path. It just means that you're getting used to things. You're getting used to your new life. You're getting used to your new sea legs. And so go with it. And every new step that you take, celebrate that. Be like, yes, amazing. This is great. Fantastic. I'm making wonderful progress. I'm so proud of myself. Keep that positive mindset bright. Expect the best. Focus on all the good things that are happening. Don't get swept away of any negative thoughts that you're having, any doomsday thoughts that you're having about how you're going to crash and burn. Just nix all that. Get rid of it. Replace them with strong affirmations and an optimistic perspective. So just challenge those negative thoughts, replace them with affirmations, and keep that perspective, that optimistic perspective, and you will get a lot farther a lot quicker. Any of those doom and gloom thoughts like, I'm going to lose everything, I'm back at zero, this is never going to work, none of that's going to help you. None of that's going to get you where you need to go. It's not going to make you enjoy your new life or the infinite possibility that it holds for you. And the truth is that we never really start back at zero. You come into any new experience with all of your wisdom and history with you. So you're never at zero. You have learned things. You're always learning and growing, and you can always take those learnings and growings with you into whatever new endeavor that you're tackling. So focus on that wide open feeling that we get when we have a new beginning, when we have a fresh start. Because usually when we're in the middle of a life, so we're living a very specific kind of life, we're hemmed in on all sides. So if I have a specific kind of job, then I have a specific kind of schedule to fit around that job. I can only take breaks at certain times. I only see certain people because of my schedule. I only do certain things because that's what time allows. But when you're starting over, like if you quit that job and now you're in a new city, a new place, you could do anything. You could build a whole new routine. If you lost your long-term relationship, so be it. Now you can have any kind of relationship you want. You can find any kind of person that you want. A new beginning always means that now you are free to do whatever you want. Anything is possible now. So please don't forget that. You are free to have or build the life that you want. Absolutely. And that's it for today, dear human. As always, I hope you found this episode useful. And if you would like to write into the show today and ask for my thoughts on something that you're dealing with, I would love to hear from you through any of my social media or through email, Kory@KoryMshum.com. Otherwise, I would love to wish you a happy new year full of all of your favorite things. I hope that 2024 is just amazing for you. I am rooting for you in all of your growth and progress and success. And I will be back next week with another episode of A Well Cared For Human. And until then, please take good care of you. This episode of A Well Cared For Human was written and produced by me, Kory Marie. The music was by Late Night Feeler and Esther Abrami. If you like what I'm doing here, please consider visiting my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you get early ad-free access to the episodes, as well as a monthly patrons-only Q&A, bonus videos, and more. Not to mention that your Patreon support lets me know that you find value in the show and want it to continue. You can find me on Patreon by visiting www.patreon.com/Kory Marie. If you can't support the show financially, that is okay. You can still subscribe to the show, leave a review of the show, and recommend the show to your friends, not just the neurotic ones. All of this helps so much. And as always, thank you for listening.